Warning, the Stone Age Gamer includes a lot of bad language. Cover your mother ears.
Good evening, and welcome to the Stone Age Gamer Podcast. I am Kris Randazzo, and joining me tonight is Pointless Horizontal Stand, Dan Ryan.
Just 0 point.
You remember
it was
that stupid thing?
There were points on it.
PS2
Completely
launches.
unnecessary.
Vertical stand makes all the sense in the world. Horizontal stand does nothing.
Dumb.
Just
It looked nice.
I guess it just added a little blue triangle.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who doesn't love blue triangles?
Anyway, it's finally time for a Stone Age starter kit to not make us cry. Yes, we're asking the question, if you had $100 to start a physical PS2 collection, which games should you get? PS2 games, many great ones, are cheap, so these lists are probably going to be wild. Dust off your DualShock 2, because the Stone Age Gamer Podcast starts now. Hi everyone, this is episode 435. It's the week of, nope, it's not the week of October 28th. I could have sworn I did this. My brain
It's the week of October 31st.
90...
It's Halloween.
Well,
No,
I mean, it
not.
was, but we did
It
go
was.
Friday, so it's November 4th. November 4th. I was in the middle of like 35 different things. 4th today and yesterday and the days before. I'm such a scattered nut job. I am stressing myself out like crazy, but it's the week of November 4th, 2022. How the heck are you, Dan? Holy crap, before you start, the pizza I made tonight was possibly the best I've made. Oh my god, I was so happy with the pizza I made tonight. The crust came out amazing, and I cooked them to perfection on the stone. It was just, they weren't over crispy, they weren't too soft, it was just freaking perfect. I loved it. I was so happy. All right, go on.
That's exciting. I am way better this week than I was last week. This is a way better week. I'm still tired, but just a much, much better week. I was kind of annoyed today, though. Katie is dressing as a Splatoon character for the Halloweens.
An Inkling or an Octoling or something else entirely?
I'm not sure. I don't listen that much when she talks. Tiff is making a hat. It's just so I love my daughter to pieces. I do. But when she gets... I mean, you think you and I could talk? Holy shit. Katie is like you and I on fucking Ritalin. Or you and me.
I get it, dude.
I've
been in the car with her, and I've spoken to my son, and I feel like the two of them have a lot in common.
Yeah, like it's just a stream of consciousness. And normally, I am all about it, and will pay attention and whatever, but she's mostly been talking about, like, the Halloween costume stuff. She was like, well, you know, Splatoon and Mom, and you're going to make the hat and this and that. And, like, as soon as she says Mom, I just, like, no, I don't have to listen anymore. I can shut off for a couple minutes. So I think she's going as an Octoling. But we had to go get a gun, a Nerf gun. Mm-hmm. I had to get her a Glock, so that the costume was authentic. And thankfully,
way more violent than the other one.
So much more violent. Thankfully, because we live in America, I walked into a store and they were just like, "Yeah, you want a box of bullets too?" It's just like that fucking episode of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. No, they just had them in a vending machine. No, so like we're looking around at all the different Nerf guns, and like there's a lot of really cool shit that Nerf is doing right now. I don't know if you've looked at the Nerf gun section recently.
A little bit.
Like,
my kids aren't really into that.
Yeah, see, Penn really wants to be. Penn has decided to finally embrace her middle name. So she would like us to call her Hero now. Because that is in fact her middle name, because I'm a fucking nerd and love Shakespeare. So Hero really wants a Nerf gun, but she is not allowed to have one because she is a psychopath. And Tiff is like, no, you definitely cannot have weapons. But Katie can, which isn't fair. but is also life. So we're looking around at the store, and like there's all these like cool Fortnite branded ones, and like the Minecraft ones are really cool. Man, I would have lost it. I can imagine losing my shit if I was into Minecraft and could go into the store and get fucking crossbow and shit. Like, oh my god, really cool stuff. But we go and like we finally like pick out this one Nerf gun or whatever. And Katie's like, I'm gonna paint it and it'll look like this, and that'll be great. So it was getting late at that point where I'm like, fuck it, I'm just getting Taco Bell, like whatever. We'll just get Mexican pizzas all around and Baja Blast for everybody. So we're sitting, because that's what the kids need, is they need a Baja Blast at 7 o'clock at night, because whatever. Anyway, who doesn't? I fucking love Baja Blast. This shit's great. Taco Bell, fucking keep doing what you're doing. I see you. You're good shit. Like that is the most realistic thing in Demolition Man, is that if anybody is going to survive, it's going to be Taco Bell. That shit's fucking
gonna
delicious. Win. Yeah, for real. Like, everything should just be Mexican food. Anyway. So we're sitting there in the car in the drive-thru, and I was so flustered because it's Taco Bell. Like, Taco Bell's not fancy, but I pull up and there's two people standing outside, and they're like walking up to the car to take the order, and I'm like, motherfucker, I didn't look at the goddamn menu. Like, I don't know what I want. I mean, it's Taco Bell. I know what I want. But you're here, and there's a lot of pressure. And she's like, let me read your order back to me. And I was like, I mean, you can, but I'm not going to listen to you. Like, I don't know why. She read it back. She was like, does that sound right? I was like, I really don't know. This is fucking weird to me, and I didn't listen to you. So yeah, let's go with yes. She did not find me as funny as most people do, but because that is the exact conversation that we had. I don't know. This is fucking strange. You're supposed to be a voice and a speaker. Go away, human. So we're sitting there and like, I don't know, we're just waiting in the drive-thru to pull up. And I was like, man, it's really weird that Splatoon doesn't have like an NES zapper gun. And she was like, oh, you mean the N-Zaps? And I was like, motherfucker, you didn't think to ask if I had any? I've got 7. We could have avoided this whole situation. I could have made dinner like an adult instead of being here in the Taco Bell drive-thru with this weird fucking lady talking to me, like in my face about it. And I'll just take the cord out and give it to you. And she's like, well, yeah, if I can't get this one done on time, then you guys said, no, you have to get this done on time now. I bought the fucking thing. I spent the money on it. God damn it. And I had to buy Hero a fucking trick-or-treat pop. It's a horror movie. You didn't see it. The little fucking kid with the bag over his head. You even know what I'm talking about? Sam.
I'm going to go with no.
Okay. Anyway. She was all, she was walking around like somebody shit in her Cheerios. So,
I mean, did you?
I mean, kind of. I told her she couldn't have a Nerf gun. She was like, oh, man, Katie's getting a thing. I was like, fine, here, have this fucking thing. I'll buy your happiness for 20 minutes so I don't have to look at that look on your face for a while. So, other than that, though, things are great. I could have saved the whole Walmart trip. I didn't get anything for myself. Makes me sad, Chris.
I'm sorry to hear that, Dan. I genuinely am.
I mean, other than that, things are good.
You deserve nice things.
I do. I can't keep nice things, but I do deserve to have them once or twice.
Agreed.
Mm.
Did you play any
How
video
are you?
games?
I did.
I'm doing okay. I mentioned that I was having some weird chest, not pain, but issues a few weeks ago.
Yeah. We started recording late because you thought you were dying.
Yeah, they kind of came back this week, and so I had all these doctor's appointments about it to go like get these tests done, and then I got this letter in the mail from my insurance company. We're like, we're not fucking paying for that. I was like, I guess I'll die then.
Guess I'll just be a good red-blooded American and fucking die.
Because I can't pay for these. They're like a couple $1,000s per test. So
why do I even have you then, insurance?
That's a really good question. Why do I have insurance when shit still costs me all this money? But so I was gonna go get some some shit done, and then it turns out I couldn't afford to go get shit done, and then I went to call to cancel the appointments at the doctor's today, and they're like, yeah, we're going to go ahead and appeal this because, like, you should probably not die. It's like, well,
you should probably get these life-saving treatments potentially.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to feel like it's not my heart. I don't think it's my heart. I think there's just some weird tightness going on in my chest. Long story. It doesn't matter. I don't feel like I'm currently dying, so that's good.
That's good.
But I am.
I mean, not so much in the larger sense of the world as how we're all hurtling towards the inevitable zero. But
well, yes, of course.
Yeah,
I do feel like there's cause for concern. So that's a thing that stressed me out. But outside of that, things are going okay. I got a little vacation coming up next week to kind of decompress and de-stress a little bit because got a lot of stress going on. And
maybe you should pick up smoking. That might.
That's definitely the right idea.
I don't know. It's like back in the day when doctors didn't know shit. I don't know. Do cocaine about it. I'll fucking
do cocaine about it.
I got this headache. I don't know. Do some cocaine about it. See if that works.
Walk it off.
Leeches. Rub some dirt on it, you bitch. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I'm all in all okay. Could be worse. Could be better. I'm okay. What about you? What have you been playing? Talk to me about video games because we got a big fat PS2 conversation to have.
We do,
including a bunch from our listeners on Discord. So
I will skip most of the other stuff. I will say that the bulk of my time this week, the bulk of my gaming time, because I've been reading because I have to, since we got a thing next week. But Marvel Snap came out.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Somebody wanted me to start playing this, and I was like, no. If I pick this up, I am not putting it down. This seems like my cup of stupid, and I got way too much stupid in my life already.
It's what? So
I saw the fucking Uncle Ben card.
Oh, it's fucking great, dude. I haven't seen the Uncle Ben card. I'm not even gonna pretend that I have. I have not seen the Uncle
Somebody
Ben card.
Somebody posted the Uncle Ben card, and it said something like, if you place this and kill it, if this card dies, then you get to add Spider-Man to your team.
That seems kind of like bullshit. I'm not gonna lie. I don't think that card's in the game.
I hope it is. I
definitely should be. So, did you play Hearthstone at all?
No, I think I watched Dean play it once or twice. But
okay. Marvel Snap is made by a bunch of people that worked on Hearthstone. So it's got some of that DNA.
Dan, it is fucking real. I am sending you a link to it right now.
Okay, I'm on snap.fan right now trying to find the fucking card.
Marvelsnap.io. I just sent you a link to it. Card ability. When this card is destroyed, add Spider-Man to your hand.
Oh my god, I can't wait to fucking have that card. It's got to be in pool 3. I am currently in pool 2. Anyway, so what's
she cracks me up. Go on.
What's so great about this game? It plays out. The gameplay cycle is so fun. It's so nice and quick and just so way it works. You build your deck, right? With whatever cards you start off with. And they all have a different energy cost, and they have a different power level, right? And then all of the cards have certain things that not all of the cards. Most of the cards have certain things that they do, either an ongoing ability, an on-reveal ability, or a destroy ability. All right. So what that means is that I have Iceman is one of my favorite cards to play right now, because Iceman costs 1 energy. So if you pull him in your opening hand or whatever, you can play him right on the very first turn, and he's 2 power. So that's pretty good. 1 energy, 2 power. That's not a bad cost. A lot of the 1 energy cards are 1 power. But he has an on-reveal ability. So when the card flips, he makes 1 card in your opponent's hand cost 1 additional energy to use. Right? So if you have a 2 cost and you're like, oh, I'm going to play this on the second turn, it now costs 3 energy. And that kind of fucks up your strategies, right? So that's pretty cool. Then there's the ongoing abilities like Blue Marvel, right? If you put down Blue Marvel, all of the cards that you have out get +1 additional power. And that is an ongoing ability, right? So that just, as soon as you play him, that just stays in effect until the game is over. And then the destroy abilities like Wolverine. If that card gets destroyed, it respawns in a different location on the board because Wolverine has a healing factor. You can't kill him, whatever. Okay. So like all of the abilities that the characters have make sense for the character, which is pretty cool. Then there are 3 locations per round. And all of the locations do different shit. Some of them, like Central Park, adds a squirrel, a 1-powered squirrel to each location on the map, right? Or on the board. So like these squirrels pop up. Now I have fucking 3 squirrels everywhere that I got to deal with. Or like Camartage will make on-reveal abilities happen twice. So I play Iceman, and now 2 cards cost 1 additional energy to play. Right? So there's all this strategy, and then there's different shit you can do to make like different combos and stuff so that your cards have even better effects. Right? Onslaught, if you have that card, he has an ongoing ability where it doubles the effect of any ongoing ability in the same location as him, which I know sounds kind of complicated saying it out loud. Once you play a couple of hands, like this all really makes sense. So you put Blue Marvel out, everybody gets +1. The next turn you put Onslaught out, everybody gets +2 because Onslaught doubles Blue Marvel, right?
Okay.
Pretty simple. Then there's other locations that will have like negative effects, right? Cards here have -2 power. If you, like the Danger Room, if you play a card there, the cards have a 25% chance to be destroyed when you play them. Which, if you're playing a destroy deck where you want to destroy your cards, that's a good thing. But if you don't have a card like Colossus has his ongoing ability is that his card can't be moved, the power can't be changed, and it can't be destroyed. Right? Again, makes sense for Colossus. That's great. Danger Room pops up. Boom, I put it down. There's a fuck ton of different locations. There's a ridiculous amount of different cards. And what's really fucking cool about it, I think, is that as you level up each individual card, the only thing that changes with the cards is the cosmetics. So when you first get the card, it's a static image, right? Then when you level that card up, and you get it all through like in-game rewards and stuff, different missions, like things to keep you playing. You don't have to spend any money on it, which is nice. The first time you level up a card, it's a frame break. So the border of the card where previously, like Warpath, his knives were stuck, like you couldn't see the bottom of them, like they were cut off. Now they're busting out past the frame. And then after that, the next time you update the card, it's 3D. So like you can rotate the card around and the background's separated, and that's really cool. And then the next time you upgrade the card, it is animated, so there's like wind blowing and or the hair is blowing, like these subtle little things. And then you get a shiny logo and then borders, and then like all of this stuff just upgrades the cards that you're using, and that's how you move along the progression path. And what's really nice about it is that every card that's in the game is on the progression path. You don't buy packs of cards. You're not spending, like in Pad, where I'm spending magic stones to roll to hopefully get a card. Every card that's in this game, you're going to get eventually. It's just whatever my path is, the cards are randomized versus what your path would be. So once I got to Pool 2, which is how they kind of separate it, like Pool 1, I think is levels 18 to 214. Okay, so all the cards for Pool 1 are in there. Starting at level 222, now you're in Pool 2, and there's like 60 cards in there. So eventually, when you get up to level 474, which I am nowhere near, because I've only been playing for a week, but once you get up to level 474, now you're into Pool 3, and you get newer cards to play with. But you're going to get every single card in that pool in the game along the way, which is kind of awesome, right? Like, you're not buying packs. I'm not getting duplicates. I'm not like, well, fuck, I have 12 Electras and I just really want this other card. Like, if you play the game, you're going to get it. And the gameplay cycle is really quick. It's like 3 to 4 minutes per hand. You know what I mean? Like, it is not a big time commitment. You are not sitting there like, all right, this is just strategery out the ass, and I've just got to, oh boy, I've got to really think and play, and do I have enough dupes, and do I have this, or, do I even want a dupe of this card? Like, you can't put duplicates in your deck. The only way you can get duplicates in your deck is if your cards or the locations have the ability to create a duplicate. You just have your 20 cards. And you can put your deck, you can put 21 power cards, you can put 26 power cards if you want to. You won't be able to play anything until the last hand, and you'll lose every time. But, whatever. You do you, boo. There's a ton of different, styles that you can play, depending on the locations that are featured. There was just the Mr. Sinister location had a thing where if you played a card there, it would duplicate and would fill that entire space with that same card. So what I was doing Bar Sinister it was called. So what I would do, I had Iron Fist in my deck. Iron Fist has an on-reveal ability that the next card that is played gets punched 1 square to the left. Okay? So if Bar Sinister was in the middle position or the right position, I would put out Iron Fist on turn 4, and then that would be the last card I put out, so that on turn 5, if I had Blue Marvel in my hand, I would play him in Bar Sinister. That would give a +1 to all of my cards. Iron Fist would punch it 1 location to the left out of Bar Sinister, but because I played it there, it would then duplicate 4 more in that spot. So now I have +5 to everybody. And it's just kind of like these cool little combos that you figure out as you're playing the game, and it's really fucking fun. It's just legitimately fun. And you don't have to spend any money. It's wonderful. The artwork is great. It's beautiful artwork. All the cards have variants, and they got pixel variants and Scotty Young variants and all of this different stuff. I fucking highly, highly recommend this game. It is a blast, and I did not love Hearthstone. I liked it and tried it for a little bit and was like, oh, this is kind of cool or whatever, but it was way more complicated than it needed to be. And this, I would say after the first, 20, 25 minutes of playing through, I was like, oh, okay, I got this. We're good. And now it's just up to me to figure out how to use the cards that I have currently to build the most effective deck and play through and win. It's super fun. Super fun.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
You should definitely play it. For real. And I really only say that I know the type of personality you have, and if you love something like this, you will play it a lot. But what's great about it is that it legitimately takes like 3 to 4 minutes. It can just be a quick thing like, let me just play a hand or two real quick. Because you can play, it doesn't matter. You're going to get the cards. You know what I mean? Like, you're not playing for the chance to get the card. Fuck, I got to do more to unlock more shit so that I can maybe get this card. It's just, I'm going to get it eventually. So whether I get it today or a week from now, I'm going to get it. And there's kind of I don't know, like a solace in that. You know what I mean? I would love to have that in pad where it's like, I know I'm definitely going to get this card if I just play. It doesn't matter if I play today. It doesn't matter if I play for an hour today or if I play for 2 minutes today. I know that eventually I will earn this card through playing this fun little game. It's a great way to do it. You can spend money. You know, they definitely have things that you can spend money on to make your progress a little quicker, a little easier, but it's definitely not necessary.
Well, I'm a big fan of things that aren't necessary.
Yeah, highly fucking recommended, man. Highly recommended.
Your recommendation is duly noted, sir.
I can't wait to get the Galactus card. If you play Galactus, if it's your only card at that location, he destroys the other 2 locations and all the cards that are with them. That's fucking great. That's awesome. That's it's just so clever the way that they've incorporated everything, and they've got, like, if you look at the list of cards that they have, it's not just the big heavy hitters. Like, you don't get Spider-Man until the 3rd pool. Like, Spider-Man is
kill Uncle Ben.
Or if you apparently, like, it is a while away. But then, oh my god! And all right, last thing, and then I will shut up about this. And it's kind of the same thing. It's really cool. In one of the cards, Agent 13, she's an early pool 2 card. So I got her, and I was like, oh, this is cool. Her on-reveal ability is that if you play her, she adds a random card to your hand. And it's not a card that you own. It is random from any card in the game, right? So one of the cards that's available in Pool 3 eventually is Agatha Harkness, okay? If you have Agatha Harkness in your hand, you will always pull her first. If you have her in your deck, you will always pull her first. She always comes out in your starting hand, and she plays the game for you. Like, you have no control. She plays whatever cards come out. And there's also a location where Ego is the location, and if Ego is the location, Ego plays the decks from both players. You just sit there and hope that he plays it well. And if you have Agatha, you hope that she plays it well. So I put out Agent 13, got Agatha Harkness, like, randomly put into my hand, and then just watched it play. And it was really kind of cool, because it did things I wouldn't have thought to do on those locations, and was like, oh, I learned something. Thank you. And I won the hand. Like, all you have to win 2 locations out of the 3. That's it. It's great.
Oh my god, were you talking to me this whole time?
Wait. I did say, that was out loud? Fuck. I thought I was just thinking. Damn it.
It sounds interesting. I'm glad you're enjoying it, and my other friend John is enjoying it too. I'm not in the headspace for it right now. It sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot of fun, but it also sounds like I'm in the middle of some stuff right now, and
sure,
that's even a couple more minutes of distraction. I feel like are just going to be a little bit too many for my taste. And,
I get that. That's kind of what I like about this, is that it is easy enough to jump into. And like I said, it sounds like a lot. It really isn't once you play it. You're like, all right, this, like, it all totally makes sense. And I'm kind of in the same boat. Like, there's kind of a lot going on in life and stuff right now, and this is just kind of a nice, like, I'm going to shut my brain off from the rest of the world because I need about 10 minutes to look at some pretty artwork and, like, oh, look, Agatha Harkness is playing my hand for me. Isn't this fun?
Yeah, I just mean, like, I already have several other distractions. Like, you mentioned the book. I got to finish that book, and I've been working on it every night, but, like, you know, if I'm playing this Marvel game, instead of reading the book, I'm not going to finish the book. You know?
That's fair. It's definitely
Gotta
fair.
Finish the book. And it's not like it's a bad book. It's a really good book. I'm very much enjoying the book. I'm just a really slow freaking reader. So
yeah, that's fair.
Go figure.
Yeah, I'm looking at this Uncle Ben card, man.
That's really freaking wild, isn't it? I love it.
Man, that's weird. When this card is destroyed, add Spider-Man to your hand. That is fucking wild.
It is a bold move, and I freaking love them for it.
I wonder where you get it from, because it's not in any of the pools. Like, maybe it's coming at some point.
Oh yeah, maybe it's not like an official thing.
It's not officially in there yet. But like, yeah, I'm looking at it. That is bananas. Evan, just as an aside, while you're editing this, you should also definitely be playing this game because there is a Moon Knight card. And it has 3 or 4 different variants. Yeah, it's got 4 different variants, so you've got a lot of work to do, Evan. One of them's a Scotty Young one.
All right, and that does weekend rental. So I've been obsessing over...
and that does weekend rental? What?
Yeah, so I've been obsessing over redoing the Geekade website, and I just did... I'm making these individual about pages for every podcast on Geekade, and I just finished weekend rental. So the only one left is Sparkcast, and I still need to get some information to properly do them, but I've got placeholder pages in sight. Feeling good. I'm feeling good. I've been wanting to redo Geekade for so dang long. It just feels real nice to have everything like in the same place. Everything is functioning the way that it should. It's nice to be able to keep track of all the podcasts and stuff. And Weekend Rental, those guys we just redid their logo and everything. It's all looking really fancy and nice. And they're available on Amazon Music and stuff. And it's real nice. It's nice. I like those guys. Nice. I like.
Did I talk long enough so that you could finish it? I'm sorry.
You did. Yeah, exactly long enough for me to finish it. Yeah, the only one I have left to do to make a pseudo page for is Sparkcast. I talked to those guys. They're going to get me their individual bio information and some bio pics to add sometime soon. And there you go. Then it's done. And I can sleep at night.
As an aside, Tiff really hates when I say biopic instead of biopic. So I say biopic all the time.
It's just means to see with both eyes.
It drives her banana sandwich.
I can imagine that would drive me banana sandwich.
Oh my god, it's just she violently hilariously violently angry. I'm like, oh, did you see that Daniel Radcliffe is in the new Weird Al biopic? She's like, motherfucker, I hate you so much.
So one thing that I did spend took a bunch of my time in this entire process. Oh, that's your picture of Moon Knight there. Okay, nice. So one of the things that we've been meaning to try to figure out with Geekade is all of our legacy content, because we used to do all this written stuff. And
oh my god, it was all terrible too, except for the wrestling and beer and kung fu and 31 years and 31 days. All of that stuff was great. Everything else was shit.
And we have a ton of podcasts that started and stopped, and we don't want to get rid of all that stuff, but obviously we don't want to keep promoting it like it's generally a part of the site. We don't do written content anymore. So handling the legacy content was something that I was adamant about getting done, and I finally freaking did it. I found all the artwork for every type of article we used to do. I rejiggered a few of the ones that I couldn't find the like all of the proper artwork for, and I got them all organized. I went through everything on the site to kind of like piece together anything that didn't fall into its proper categories and make sure that as many things as I could find were attributed to the right authors, and I got all the legacy content done. So all the articles are together, and the podcasts, we have 9. We have 12 defunct podcasts.
Wow.
From Geekade. I think the one with the fewest episodes was, let's see, Backdrops and Body Slams made it to looks like 4. Looks like you got to 4 episodes. Although this is weird. There's a bunch of articles that, like, Why I Love Wrestling articles and stuff that were attributed to Backdrops and Body Slams. I'm going to have to fix that. But it looks like this got up to a 5, actually. Episode 5 of Backdrops and Body Slams. Look at that.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good show. It was all right.
I think the winner might be Save This Podcast. Yeah. That was Evans. Evan was doing an episode by episode Smallville podcast, and it made it 2 episodes.
Smallville is a shitty show. I'm sorry. That show sucks.
I've never been into it myself, but I know Evan's a fan, and I feel like you're hurting Evan's feelings right now.
I feel like somebody has to be adult enough to tell him. Like, it's a bad show with bad acting and bad writing. It's bad all around. It's as bad as Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Oh my God.
On that level. Yeah, fight me. I don't care.
That's harsh. I am happy to hear that we might get some good DC movies in the future, though.
That is, man, God, I hope so. I don't know. Because, like, I worry about James Gunn unencumbered.
I worry about that too, but he's with another dude, you know? He's a co-CEO with some other guy.
Yeah, but do you notice how you said he's with another guy? You don't know who that other guy is. You know who the fuck Kevin Feige is, though.
I mean, I do now. Like, I didn't when he started. So
that's fair, but
it seems like it's in charge. It was put in like, all right, it's not Zack Snyder.
That's a great start.
I have enjoyed James Gunn's output.
Have you or have you enjoyed his Marvel output?
I liked the Suicide Squad, and I fucking loved Peacemaker. And what else has he done, right?
I mean, what the fuck was that other movie? Oh God, he's done some weird shit. Superhero movies.
Okay,
I didn't love the Suicide Squad. I thought it was okay. I wanted to love it more than I did. I thought I was.
I didn't think it was anywhere near as good as Peacemaker, though. Peacemaker was.
I haven't watched Peacemaker.
Peacemaker was everything I wanted the Suicide Squad to be. The Suicide Squad was like, it was very good. I very much enjoyed it. I'm probably not going to watch it again, but Peacemaker was freaking amazing.
Yeah, I gotta get to that at some point. The way I worry about James Gunn in the same way that I worried about Love and Thunder. Mm-hmm. Right?
Yeah.
I thought Thor Ragnarok is probably the best Marvel movie. It's not my favorite, but it's probably the best all-around Marvel movie, you know?
Yeah.
Or at least there's certainly an argument to be made for it. And a lot of that was because Taika Waititi was reined in and not given as much creative license as he was for Love and Thunder. And
but James Gunn isn't going to be directing every movie. He's just in charge of making shit fit. And like,
I know.
That makes me happy. And also the fact that apparently the Superman I haven't seen Black Adam yet, but Superman shows up. Spoiler alert. That's all over the internet. And he's like blue suit, spit curl Superman. And apparently they're working on a new Superman movie that's going to be positive as heck. And that brings me so much joy to hear. Because, like,
I do.
The Snyder fans were so pissed when he came out about that stuff, or they were so pissed that he showed up at the end of that movie not in his black costume and all pissed off and stuff. Like,
yeah.
Anyway, I have a couple of small things to talk about. Video games. Then we're going to take a break, and then we're going to move on to the PS2. So,
sorry, he's a trauma guy. I love that. That, you know, I just worry.
It's okay to be worried. I'm way less worried than I have been about DC projects for a long time. So
that's fair.
Put it that way.
That's fair. That's a good way to put it, I think.
Really, I haven't done much of anything game playing. We played a little bit more Luigi's Mansion. John and I are at the last boss in Castle Crashers, and I have been absolutely loving the shit out of Pilotwings 64. Since beating Dadish 3, I dove all the way into Pilotwings 64, and it's like playing a new Pilotwings game because I've never played this one before. And
that's awesome.
It looks and plays great on the Switch, and I'm just loving it because I freaking love Pilotwings. And that's it. That's all I got.
All
right. So Pilotwings 64 is great. I don't even know what else to say about it. It's just I love all the events. I love the music. I even enjoy the graphics. I really want them to apply whatever they did to this game to every N64 game on Nintendo Switch Online, because it running at a smoother frame rate and just being sharp changes so much of how much I enjoy those games. It's absurd.
Right.
But yeah. Pilotwings 64 is great, and with that, we're going to take ourselves a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do the PS2 starter kits. We've got a lot to talk about, so you're listening to the Stone Age Gamer podcast from Geekade.com. Stick around. Hi everyone, Kris here. Podcast listening is free, but podcast creation is not. That's why the Geekade Patreon exists. In an effort to help us pay the bills, we've got a Patreon page set up where you can gain access to our monthly podcast topic schedule, get early access to many of our shows, and more. If you'd like to help support Geekade and keep these shows running week after week, head over to the Geekade Patreon page, linked in the show notes of this very podcast. And now, here's a quick look at some of the other original content available now from our partners and Geekade.com.
First up, do you like River City Ransom for the NES?
Yes!
Well, of course you do! Would stand to reason. You'll also like the Shodai Neketsu Kono Kunio-kun, that very game's Super Famicom follow-up. Did I do that alright? I feel like I did.
It sounded flawless to me.
In this special bonus episode of the SNES podcast, Greg wasn't around. I don't think that's what makes it special, though. So Joe is joined by George to discuss Shodai Neketsu Kuha Kunio-kun. This Japan-only game plays much the same way as its popular NES counterpart, but is it any good overall? Do people shout barf? Find out in the SNES podcast bonus episode, Shodai Neketsu Koha Kunio-kun.
See,
Koha? I don't know.
I imagined Ebony saying this, so I just repeated that as many times as I could, just because I thought the comedy would be in you saying it. So when we record this week's episode next week, I'm absolutely going to make Evan promote that episode, just to see what. I
think you should. Maybe add it in there one or two more times.
I think I'll just duplicate the commercial.
Yeah, I think have him read it twice.
Next, the Philips CDI is a system that not a lot of people love. But I do. I've always had a sick fascination with the thing, and the fact that there are people out there in the world making new accessories for it fills my heart with blood. That is why when the Stone Age Gamers...
What? I mean, that's the only thing that does it? That might be why you're having the chest pains, Kris. I don't know. There's supposed to be blood going through there.
I wrote joy, but then I was reminded of one of my favorite lines from Ren and Stimpy, when he says, "The littlest giant's heart was filled with blood." That's why when Stone Age Gamer started selling the all-in-one Bluetooth adapter for CDI, I knew I had to make a video about it. This little box of wonder works like a charm and makes all your CDI games considerably more playable than ever before, thanks to the newfound ability to use modern wireless video game controllers on it instead of whatever the heck came with the CDI that can only be considered one of the worst ways to play video games ever invented. Be sure to check out all-in-one Bluetooth adapter for CDI overview on the Stone Age Gamer YouTube channel. Yes, I was legit excited for this. I found this thing and recommended Stone Age Gamer carry it, and I'm so glad they did, because we need to service all 10 CDI fans out there.
I like how you like how it. What I imagine your pitches to Ryan are like. So Ryan, I want this, but I'm not going to buy it. So if we carry it and I review it, you'll give me one, right? I think my favorite line from Ren and Stimpy is, "That's very funny. A fly marrying a bumblebee."
I told you I'd shoot, but you didn't believe me. Why didn't you believe me?
So fucking funny. That or the, yeah, we're maroon, just like the name of this cartoon. So fucking funny.
For the first season or 2 seasons of that show,
it's so
were
good,
just brilliant. And then it went. God, remember when they brought that show back and it was fucking awful?
Yeah.
That was so bad. Like, I was so sad.
Magical.
Nickelodeon had wrestled control of that show away from John Kricfalusi and Spunko, and then like it turned out that was the better option. Like, obviously you should never wrestle control of an intellectual property away from its creator, but I kind of wish they never gave it back to him, because when he made those new episodes for Spike, they were dreadfully awful.
Dreadfully bad. It was the proverbial lightning in a bottle. It was so fucking good.
It really was.
It was so fun. It holds up. Like, you can watch those episodes now.
Funny. Yeah.
And it's still great. Don't whiz on the electric fence. That shit's fucking great. Powdered Toast Man is outstanding. It's Log. Oh my god, it's just so good.
It really is.
Space Madness.
Oh, Space Madness is one of my all-time
The
favorites.
shiny red button. But you're not going to touch it, are you?
You covet my ice cream bar.
Oh, my
the animation of him taking the bites out of the soap and the tears in his eyes as he's crying. Absolute magic.
It's so fucking funny. That fucking noise he makes. Home.
And you're, oh, so nutty. Chocolate covering.
Oh my god, it's fucking great. It's so fucking good. Oh man, I'm fucking crying. Oh, Muddy Mud Skipper. That shit's just fucking... Oh, what did you think about that fall, Mr. Horse? No, sir. Don't like it. Finally, our intrepid editor, Evan, who is quite the handsome fellow. In case any of you boys or girls out there, or theys, in the audience. I don't know. What do you say for non-gendered? It's boys, girls, and theys? Is that how that goes?
Other?
I don't know. You should all want to fuck Evan. He and his considerably more talented wife have teamed up with several other local artists to create a horror comic for the ages. Tales of Cape Fear is an anthology-style book that features great stories and images from independent artists and writers. You know what? Submissions? Well, Kris, they're open. If you're interested in contributing to Tales of Cape Fear, head on over to their site, linked to on Geekade and in this show's show notes. They're right there down in the pants of the episode. Fill out the form. Who knows? Maybe your work will be immortalized in its pages for all the times.
All of them. Every last dang one of them.
That's right. All the variants.
In every reality.
That's right.
All of work going multiversal here.
Kang's got nothing on you. Did you see the Quantum Mania trailer? Holy shit.
I did.
Oh my god.
Yes, please.
I'm so excited.
Oh.
More of that. Right in my veins. Jonathan
Yes.
Majors. That dude's fucking great.
He is. Dude's ripped,
Did you see how
too.
jacked he was in the fucking Creed trailer? Holy shit, he was scary.
I saw him in the
damn.
I didn't see the Creed trailer because I've never seen any of the Creed movies.
Oh, they're real good.
I've never seen any of the Rocky movies, which is why I've never seen any of the Creed movies.
I mean,
but we're gonna fix that on the next episode of the theater near you because we're doing Rocky. But I
original?
saw I've never seen any Rocky movies. So the next episode of the theater near you, as the letter R, we all landed on Rocky, which I'm very excited about to finally see. But I saw Jonathan Majors in GQ or some magazine photo shoot, and I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, in the fucking trailer for Creed 3, he is terrifying. He is scary the way Tyson used to be scary. When you saw that dude in there, just like, oh my god. Why would anybody fight him? Holy shit.
Seems like a bad idea for everyone.
All around.
Well, for all
this
great
stuff and more,
make sure to keep your eyes on geekade.com.
For all this Ren and Stimpy content.
Just had a complete brain fart there. I was like, wait, what am I? There it is. Yeah, geekade.com, the newly refreshed geekade.com.
That's right.
Thank you.
Sexier, leaner.
We can rebuild it.
Kris, I got 20 games, man. So Stone Age, I'm going. Stone Age Starter Kit.
We're back. Go.
Yeah, we're back. Stone Age Starter Kit. It's an idea that I came up with that I'm sure I stole from somebody, but then other people stole from us, so fuck them. Whatever. Where we thought it would be a great idea to say if you were gifted a system and all the peripherals you would need in order to play any of the games available for that system and $100, it's a lot of ifs here, Kris. This is a lot of whataboutism in these episodes, but it's okay. If you were given all of that stuff, what should you spend your $100 on? This week, or this month, we are doing the PS2. And my God,
stands for PlayStation 2.
That's right. And if you didn't know that,
I contributed.
It's weird that you're listening to this show in particular. There's so many other podcasts. Just get something from NPR. That's probably more your speed. Whatever. Man, this episode was really hard to put together for me personally, because there were so many great games and there are so many affordable PS2 games currently. If we say this a lot on this show when we're doing this particular segment, if you're looking to start a video game collection, there are definitely systems you should avoid currently because the prices are just absurd. But the PlayStation 2, because it was so ubiquitous, I mean, they were everywhere for a very, very long time. So many of these games are dirt cheap. Just ridiculous. I have a list of 20 games, and there's not a stinker in the bunch. There's no filler here. None. I'm excited, Kris. You've got 14?
I do. I have 14, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I've got 20 games, so I'm going to go first.
You do that.
I'm really curious to see how many games we end up with that are the same. I imagine there's going to be one or two, at least, but we'll see. All right. So the first game that I have on my list is $7, and that is Burnout Revenge.
How much was that?
$7. I just looked these up today.
Interesting. Okay.
Why is that interesting?
Because my first one was Burnout 3. I didn't play Revenge. I didn't know which one to go with. I went up with the greatest hits version of Burnout 3 for $9. Burnout has to be on there.
Burnout 100% has to be on there.
3 is the one I spent the most time with. I didn't really play much of Revenge. I love 3
is a better game, I think, but only slightly so. And I don't, for the purposes of the rest of my list, just wanting to get everything else on here. There was one game that I had that was $2 that I just didn't want to take off. That's number 13 on the list.
I don't have any $2 games.
Yeah,
off my list, so yeah.
Burnout is fucking great. It's so fun. Like, I know Burnout got its fair share of criticism back in the day for, like, you're glorifying car crashes and that sort of shit. And, like, really not.
It's a fucking video game.
It's a fucking video game. It's so fun. The takedown modes were so great. But what I think always really made Burnout stand out from other racing games, and I have 2 racing games on my fucking list, but they could not be any more different, was how well this controlled. It is a dream.
It felt good
play.
to play. It's I'll definitely agree with you on that particular point, which is one of the reasons like Gran Turismo didn't make my list. When I had to cut a racing game, one, Gran Turismo was cheaper, but also my issue with Gran Turismo, even though it is such an essential PlayStation experience, and I assume that was the other racing game on your list, some flavor of Gran Turismo?
Not.
It's not? All right, that's good.
Yep.
Because I don't think it's fun to play. And
I don't enjoy playing it either. I understand why people do.
But it's like
because it's so realistic.
It's for car enthusiasts. It's not for the general
racing game.
I want to have a lot of fun playing a racing game, and that for me was Burnout 3. Like just 100% that generation, because I hadn't spent much time with racing games since like Super Nintendo and like Top Gear and stuff, and then PS2. I think I actually first played it on Xbox, but I know I can't remember if I played this on. Yeah, I played this more on Xbox than PS2, but still, I know they're effectively the same game.
Yeah,
Burnout 3.
Yeah,
plays. It feels so
great.
Much fun.
It's great.
It's such a fun racing game. Wonderful game. Great pick.
Yeah, and Revenge is just more of that. Like it's just more of Burnout. There's some slight tweaks, some online stuff, like whatever. Burnout 3, Burnout Revenge, $7, $9, like whatever. You have to have Burnout. It's fucking great. It's great. Do you want me to jump into my next one then?
Yeah,
since I stole your first
going.
one?
I don't have anything else to say about Burnout 3. It's fucking Burnout.
It's outstanding. Yeah, you got to play Burnout. Actually, I lied. I have 2 $2 games. This is my first one. The other one's down the list, but I didn't want to take either of these off to fit Burnout 3 on there. I considered taking this one off for Burnout 3, but ultimately I think for $2, Devil May Cry 3, the special edition. How can you go?
That was $2.
It's $2.
I should have done. I should have done that better because I stuck with the first one. I was like, I don't want to. I feel like you need to start with Devil May Cry 1 if you're gonna start a PS2 collection. Like, I tried to avoid later sequels of certain things.
I get that.
And this was one of them. Was like, yeah, no, I'm sticking with Devil May Cry 1. And like, part of me wants to say like, yeah, I'll back up and change Burnout 3 to Revenge and add Devil May Cry 3, but I'm sticking with my guns here. My first 2 were Burnout 3 and Devil May Cry. Burnout 3 greatest hits version was 9. Devil May Cry was 6. Loose discs, obviously, because that's what we tend to do on these things. And I agree with you. Devil May Cry 3 is freaking great.
It's so great, and for $2.
For $2, it's just fucking stupid to not buy that for $2.
It's ridiculous not to. And like what you're saying with like the later sequel, that's why this was so hard for me, because I was jumping back and forth between different, because I got a couple different things on here where I was like, oh, the sequel or whatever, like that might be a little cheaper, but I can go back to this, bouncing around. And then other games I totally took off of my list, because this is the first time that we've done this where I cheated. And it's really kind of the first time that we've been able to do it to this extent, where I looked up what it was on the Xbox and the GameCube if it was multi-platform. and kept certain things off, because there are certain games that I personally identify more as an Xbox title or a GameCube title, even though the PlayStation version might have been around the same price or whatever and is a great game.
Oh, for
I
sure.
left them off of here because
I have a little bit of that going on too. I kept a couple of them on here. Burnout's one of them. Like when we do Xbox, I'm totally doing Burnout again, because like I don't care what platform you're doing that. If you're playing this generation, PS2 or Xbox, I'm not going to throw Burnout on the GameCube list, because that's just going to be a different animal entirely. That's going to be a weird one. But I see what you're saying. That one's going to be
strange.
My mindset here wasn't fit as many good games as possible within the limit. It was as many starters. This was all about where you're starting, and I didn't want to add things like Devil May Cry 3 or like Rise of Kasai, because like that's not where you start. Like if you're experiencing PlayStation 2 for the first time, I don't want you playing Devil May Cry 3 before you play Devil May Cry 1. So that's where I landed on that one.
I fucking love Devil May Cry 3 though. I love Devil May Cry 1. Devil May Cry 2 I was kind of in between on. Like I liked it, but they kind of changed a little bit of shit in there that I didn't love.
I didn't play much of 3 because I didn't get into 2.
Yeah.
So
3 is so much more like 1. It really like was a course correction. I love playing as Virgil in this special edition. He's really fun to play. Like it's a fucking great game for $2, dude. You got to have, and even what you said for $6, you have to have Devil May Cry.
Yeah, I agree. Devil May Cry as a series, no matter which approach you take, mine or Dan's, if you're doing a PlayStation 2, like what is the representation of what PlayStation 2 gaming was? Like, of course, part of me wanted to say like, yeah, Castlevania Lament of Innocence, because like you want to do the Castlevania thing, but you want that 3D type of action is what you want. And one of the best examples of it that you absolutely have to have is Devil May Cry. 1 or 3. All right. Well, you got my first two. Keep rolling.
I'm almost positive that this next one is not on your list. I have next on my list for $6 a game that I just played the hell out of in college. It is a great multiplayer couch versus fighting game, but not the fighting game that you're thinking. Fight Night 2004.
Okay, all right.
Knockout Kings had been a very, very successful franchise for EA for a while.
Indeed.
But it got stale. It got old, it got tired, and they took like a year off or so to retool and then came out with Fight Night. And when Fight Night hit, they totally redid the way a boxing game felt, the way you threw punches with the right analog stick and the different things that you would do to like duck and counter, and the way that you moved made it a completely different experience. And this game was a revelation. It really, really was. This game is so incredibly fun to play multiplayer. Hours and hours and hours in my apartment in college, just playing through this over and over and over again, just passing the controller, all right, you're on a winning streak, great. You're on a winning streak, right? I'm gonna like so much shit talking. Oh my god, this game is so much fun. And then eventually EA did what EA does, and they ran this into the ground as well. But it is just outstanding.
That is indeed what EA does. I remember playing the original Fight Night and being like, this is pretty cool. Like, I'm trying to remember, because I remember playing Knockout Kings on PS1 a little bit at my Funko land. And like, Knockout... did they ever do proper dual analog control with Knockout Kings, or did they start that with Fight Night? I can't remember.
No, it started with Fight Night. That was the thing. Like, Fight Night was the revamp of what a boxing game could be, how it could feel, how you would play it, and it was
it was
just
genius.
so
it was really
wildly.
quite
It was It was back when EA was innovative and doing things that turned them into the fucking monolith that they are.
Well, they had competition back then.
They did. Just an outstanding game. And, like, I fucking love boxing. I love boxing. It's one of my very favorite things. So being able to play this game and feel like I had real control over what I was doing, like feeling like a boxer and thinking like a boxer and how to throw the punches and take the counters and all of that. There was really nothing quite like it.
Good pick. No,
all right.
Yeah.
What you got?
Am I going again? All right.
I'll go again. I still got...
You have like 5 more than I do.
I do.
Well, we're close alphabetically. I have another
I was going to say,
F.
I've got another F.
So
do you have another F?
I do. I have an F. And my F was... This was a tough one to choose between, but I went with Final Fantasy 12 for $5.
Oh, okay.
Final Fantasy...
I also went with a Final Fantasy, but not 12.
Final Fantasy 10, I was waffling back and forth between 10 and 12. And I have not played very much of 12. I've played way more of 10 than 12. But I kind of feel like 12 is this really interesting kind of like culmination of what the PS2 was capable of. Whereas 10 was... I don't know. I don't know how to explain why I went with 12 instead of 10. I really could have went either way because I think they were both the same price. I think they're both $5.
Yeah, they're both... Final Fantasy 10 is what I went with for $5.
Yeah. There's something about 12 that I think is more overall like, this is what the PS2 could really do. And 10 was like such a great starting point as far as like modern Final Fantasy, like really expanding past the CG backgrounds. Like this was fully 3D, fully voice acted, got its own direct sequels, but 12 got direct sequels as well.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't know, man. My heart said 12, and that's what I went with. So I could be, I don't think there's a wrong answer here.
I don't think there is either.
But you have to have one of the Final Fantasies. Probably not 11.
Probably not 11. Probably
like
not. Definitely not 11.
10 or 12, I think you have to have one of those on there no matter what.
Or just get 10 too. And then you've kind of got the combination of the both there. Right?
Plus pop songs.
The reason that I went with 10 was because it was that first big leap, right? Final Fantasy VII was this huge thing on the PlayStation.
Yeah, you've convinced me. I'm changing it to 10. You're right. I waffled back and forth on this so much earlier.
I get it.
You're right. This was the point. Like, and if I'm talking about what I'm talking about with sequels, I'm thinking like storyline wise and things like that. We're talking about what I was talking about with sequels before. Like 10 was really the starting point. I feel like you're right. You would appreciate 12 more if you have played 10 first. So
yeah,
10,
like
10's the starting point.
I like the characters better in 10 as well. 12 was really like the last one that I really played through. Because it was like once 12 came out, I was just at a point in my life where I didn't have 80 hours to really get invested in this stuff. But, again, 10 came out while I was in college, and it was a huge thing. Like, we sat down, and there was that same feeling of seeing Final Fantasy VII for the first time. Once the PlayStation 2 was announced and it came out, it was like, well, what's the Final Fantasy be?
Yeah, what are the...
Like,
it was like thinking back to the NES to Super NES days of like, all right, what are all my favorite PlayStation games going to look like on PlayStation 2? And Final Fantasy did not disappoint. Like,
it just didn't. It's so good. It's so good. Like, the story it's a Final Fantasy story. Yeah, it's fucking nonsense. It's utter hogwash is what it is. The Blitzball thing is fucking weird. Like, whatever. It's fine. Put it in there. Titus or whatever the fuck is a main character in a Final Fantasy game. but everything surrounding it, the way they redid the battle system, the way the summon system works, all of that is great. What? Oh, the fucking voice acting,
the laugh scene was
really
but
quite the voice
special.
acting overall is really good.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially considering
overall,
like
really
where
good.
voice acting in video games was.
Right,
at that
like
point
that's what
in
I'm
time.
saying. It's just this really, really great game, and it's one of the few times where I can think of something that I wouldn't say it surpassed the hype for it, but I think it definitely lived up to the expectations of what, oh my God, what is Final Fantasy going to look like on the PS2? Here you go. And it was ultimately a satisfying experience. And for $5, you have to have it.
Yeah, you're not going to get an argument out of me there. That's you're 100% right. Final Fantasy X is the right call, and well, yeah.
All right. Moving on down the list. You have to have one of these on your list. I went with this one because it was $6, and personally, I think it is fucking outstanding. I just adore this game. God of War 2 Greatest Hits Edition, $6. If nothing for the fucking Cyclops fight at the beginning. Like, that shit is... God of War set the bar with that opening battle against the Hydra. And that's
why God of War 1 made my list for $6.
I get it.
You gotta do the first one first. Right? No, it was 6. Regular one.
Oh, it was 6?
Yeah.
Was it?
It was 6 and change. It was less than 50 though, so it got the round down to 6.
All right. I mean, fuck either one, man.
Yeah,
either one. I feel like 2 plays a little bit better.
No, I agree, but like again, you got to do that first one first because you're not going to go back to the first one after 2, you know, and like. I just think the first one sets that stage, and that fucking Hydra battle is one of the watershed moments. Like, we're talking about Devil May Cry. Devil May Cry was like this complete reinvention, right? Devil May Cry was just like, holy shit, this is 3D action gaming. And then that Hydra battle was that again. It was a complete everything. It was before and after that battle. And
you're right. I was going to make a dumb argument. Yeah, God of War. Oh, man, what a
get
fucking
both of them eventually. No question. Especially at the prices that they're at. Like they're wonderful. They still play great on the PS2.
They do.
God of War's a goddamn masterpiece. Can you believe this has been our list so far? We've had like different flavors of the same 4 games. The first 4 games on my list. You just had one extra one so far.
I'm actually surprised. Like I'm a little surprised.
Where do we go from here? This is what I'm really curious about. Where do we go from here? I think our next one's going to be a divergence, but I don't know for sure. But yes,
I don't know.
God of War is an absolute must.
Yeah, I mean, like God of War, I think I would argue, while the sequel is better, certainly, like God of War, maybe if you got one game for the PlayStation 2, I would probably say God of War. You know,
I'm looking down my list and like I have one game that I would argue, but no, I think you're 100% right. I think if you had to pick one game for PlayStation 2, it would be God of War. I think you're right.
Yeah. I mean, man, you're right. Like, cause you're right. It's that watershed moment, that fucking Hydra battle. When that thing
changed
whips
everything.
around and screams at you.
Nothing.
Oh my God.
I had never played anything like that before in my life. And like I would show that to customers in my Game Crazy all the time. That demo disc never left my system for ages. Nope. It's just like, you have to see this.
That's a system seller. Like
exactly.
That is the very definition of a system seller.
And the PS2 didn't need a system seller.
It did not.
But
it did not.
GameCube and Xbox didn't have God of War. Like that was this is why you play PS2. This is why you have one in your house. You have to buy this game. You just have to. It's that
God
amazing.
of War is the reason that I am still Sony first. Like I'll get the other systems eventually, but I know the only place I'm going to play God of War and whatever the new permutation of God of War is going to be on the Sony console. That's why I keep getting PlayStations. It hasn't let me down yet. You know what I mean? Like there's been plenty of other good experiences, but fucking we are a scant few weeks away from Ragnarok. And I just fuck. Oh my god. Anyway, next one on my list. It's $3. I don't love the game, but you have to have it. Grand Theft Auto 3, greatest hits, $3.
Huh. Okay.
That game fucking changed everything.
I did Grand Theft Auto San Andreas because while you're right, GTA 3 did change everything because of the anthology style nature of them. I just think that San Andreas basically does what GTA 3 does, but just better.
It does. I don't disagree. It's San more Andreas than $3 though.
Yeah, it was $6. I'm not going to argue with you. I don't feel strongly enough about this to change my vote on it, on like which one to go with.
You have to have one of them, though.
GTA 3, you have to have this or Vice City or San Andreas. You got to have one of them. I went with San Andreas because it was like the quote unquote best out of the three.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. San Andreas is better than Vice City. It's better than 3. What's wild, I remember going to the Hamilton Mall, and going into whatever video game store was upstairs. I think it was an electronics boutique. Yeah. And I remember my buddy Dave in college was like, this Grand Theft Auto 3 like looks really... And I was like, Grand Theft... Like that fucking top-down shit? And he was like, no, dude, this game is supposedly like incredible. I was like, all right, let's fucking go to the mall. Let's go pick it up. And we went there and we got it for like $12 or something like that. I think he bought it for. Because when Grand Theft Auto 3 came out, it did not sell well. It flopped initially. And eventually, through word of mouth, it became this phenomenon that is still just a massive, massive franchise. But
I do not remember it flopping at first. I don't remember that at all. I
mean, flop is maybe a strong word, but it was not...
There
was not the pandemonium around it.
It wasn't fervor, but there was a lot of hype around it because magazines and stuff were talking that game up like this is a big fucking deal. This is
like
you need to pay attention to this. And I was like, it's fucking Grand Theft Auto. I've played Grand Theft. I get it. This is going to be a big deal for everybody who hasn't played the game on like PC back in the day. But
yeah,
I don't know. But there was a lot of talk about this game being a game changer and.
Because I remember having the conversation sitting on the couch in his apartment being like, this shit was only $12? God damn. Like, oh my God, this game is incredible. You know, and then eventually coming to like dislike it as it became the thing it became. But you have to have a Grand Theft Auto. You have to.
Yeah.
Whatever you got is whatever you got. I would also agree that the next one on my list, number 7 on my list, I waffled between this one and its sequel, but its sequel is $1 more. And for $3, Guitar Hero 2, the greatest hits version, you have to have a fucking Guitar Hero.
What did you say? Guitar Hero 2, the greatest hits version?
Yes. It's $3.
I just have the regular one listed at $3, and I also made my list today. Were they both $3?
I think they are both $3.
Well, then fuck
I like the track list
version.
on 2 better.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. The 2 regular edition, not 2 greatest hits.
Oh,
but
maybe
either way,
it was the regular.
That was my Guitar Hero 2. 100% agree. It's a better game than the first one. You don't need to play the first one to understand the second one. It's not like there's any connective tissue there. It's just that, but better. And
it's fucking outstanding.
It's still you don't fun. Need to appreciate the first game to get the second game. Unlike
still
stuff like God of War or Devil May Cry. Yeah, Guitar Hero 2 is exactly where you pick up from. And since we're including the peripherals in our experience here, then yeah, that's the next game on my list. Guitar Hero 2, $3, 100 billion% worth it. It killed me to put that on there and not Amplitude. It killed me to take Amplitude off my list because Amplitude is where Guitar Hero came from. And it is so damn cool. But yeah, Guitar Hero is way more fun and a fucking fraction of the price because Amplitude was $10 minimum. Guitar Hero 2, 100% agree with you. That's gotta be there. It is one of the defining PS2 experiences.
It is. God, we've talked about it before, but man, What
the
a
sequels,
good time
the
that
spin-offs,
was.
all that stuff was very cool.
Rock Band
but
was great.
For my money, I still, if I go back to play any of those, it's Guitar Hero 2. That's the one I go back to. I still have just the regular PS2 guitars in my closet. I have no interest in going back to Rock Band or Guitar Hero 3 or Beatles, whatever the fuck.
I like the Beatles one, though. The fucking Octopus's Garden level.
I'm not
really
a big
cool.
Beatles guy, but...
Because you're a psychopath.
Clearly.
Ultimately.
But yeah, Guitar Hero 2, 100% agree. That's Hundo P, my friend. Hundo P.
I almost went with Guitar Hero 3 because that one came with the wireless controller, and that was just such a fucking game changer. But we're assuming you have the peripherals, and I like the track listing in 2. God, what a fucking time that was, man. It was just fun.
Really, really something else.
It was
I remember
just
playing the first Guitar Hero I played at I was one of those game conventions when they were they were there. Red Octane was there selling Guitar Hero, and I was like, oh shit, this is the people that made this is the follow-up to Amplitude, because I freaking loved Amplitude and I loved Frequency before that. I thought Amplitude did it like 10 times better. And then like I couldn't believe what I was playing. They're like, no, you play this with a guitar. I picked up this plastic guitar. Like, you got to be fucking kidding me. This is genius. And I remember going back to my store and telling everybody about it. Like, this is going to be such a big deal. You have got to play this when it comes in. And then like a few weeks later, we all started getting them in the stores. And I was like, damn. This is it. This is it.
Oh my God.
God, it was so much fun.
Great time.
Love Guitar Hero.
All right.
Absolutely brilliant.
I don't know if this next one on my list is on your list. I don't think it is, because I don't think you love this franchise as much as I love this franchise. But the next thing I have on my list, again, for $3, and $3 was my most common value on my thing. I had 6 different games at $3. Hot Shots Golf 3, the Greatest Hits Edition.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I
fucking love Hot Shots Golf. It is so fun. I love golf video games. I considered putting Tiger Woods 2001 on here because, boy, did Nick and I play a ton of Tiger Woods 2000. But it's so serious. Like, there's a lot of like thinking involved in Tiger Woods, and it's not that there's no thinking in Hot Shots Golf, but
it's just a better balance of thinking and fun.
It's just really fun. Characters are quirky as shit. Course designs are really fun. It's just great. It's a great game. $3. Have to have it. And again, I feel it's one of those identifiable PlayStation, Sony kind of franchises.
Yeah, I buy that.
What's the Hot Shots?
You're
you
right.
know, I like Hot Shots Golf better than Hot Shots Tennis. Hot Shots Tennis is fun, but I like a more serious tennis. I don't know. That's just me. Next on the list, this might be on your list. I don't know, based on your feelings on their previous work. But again, for $3, the greatest hits version of the first Jak and Daxter, the Precursor Legacy.
I unfortunately had to take it off. It was on my list, but it didn't ultimately make the cut.
It's one of those, like, when we were still kind of caring about, like, well, who's the mascot character for the PlayStation? Like, it was between 3, and I have 2 of them on here. But Jak and Daxter, Naughty Dog's follow-up to the Crash Bandicoot series. I don't know, had they sold Crash Bandicoot off yet? Like, had that become Universal or wherever it went to, and then they moved on to Jak and Daxter?
That is exactly what happened, yeah.
Okay, yeah. There is a lot of Crash Bandicoot DNA in this first Jak and Daxter. In this series, I don't know that there's a series that has gone through a bigger tonal and stylistic shift.
Wow, Jak 2 was a hard right turn.
Man, and then Jak 3 is fucking like, it's a fucking wild series to look at. And one that I think at some point will need a whole podcast dedicated to it, because it is a fucking wild ride where
I've never played it, so
oh man, it's good stuff. But then the Daxter game was kind of back towards the cheekiness of the first one.
It was,
but then there's a racing game. Yeah. It's just fucking weird, man. It's weird. And no PlayStation 3 Jak, no PS4, no PS5 as of yet. Like this, Naughty Dog moved on.
Franchise just fucking
This is
stopped.
a PS2 franchise. And the first game's really good. It's really fun. You know, it fixed a lot of the problems. Ultimately, I think the Crash Bandicoot games were too ambitious for what the PlayStation 1 could do.
I agree.
And with the power of the PS2, they could finally realize some of the stuff that they wanted to do with Crash Bandicoot, but move it in this new direction. Yeah. Great characters, awesome game, $3.
Well said. Yeah, just barely didn't make my list. I had to save money, and it was the last game on my list that was really, really putting it there. This next one for me is actually another one of my more expensive ones that I just decided I could not put this on there when I was making this list.
It's the same one I have. It's $10. You might as well just say
yeah, it's Katamari. The first Katamari
100%.
for $10.
Yeah.
You need it. I know Katamari Damacy reroll exists for modern platforms, and I don't
care.
It's phenomenal. Buy that one too.
Sure. Buy all the Katamari that you can.
Yeah.
This fucking 100%
game. Agree. This game was another one of those things that just changed everything. God, the PS2 generation was so fucking insane. Because I hate that first 3D generation. That hate's a hard word, but PS1,
it's
Saturn, Nintendo 64. As much as I am loving the fuck out of Pilotwings 64,
sure,
there's
a lot of bad and a lot of ugly. It was generation.
It was a very ugly puberty for video games. It was
it really fucking was.
It was being ripped back from like the glory of how gorgeous 16-bit was, and then every now and then it'd be like, check out Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Wouldn't 2D games be great on this modern technology?
I mean, we're not gonna.
We're not gonna. This is all you're getting. But oh my god,
yeah, man,
PS2,
ugly puberty is a really good way to put it.
Because PS2, Xbox, and GameCube, PS2, Dreamcast, and GameCube. Because Xbox, that was Microsoft's first entry. But Dreamcast started this generation off the 128-bit systems. And it was like, now Sega's making 3D games that don't look awful. Now the games look like as good as Super Nintendo and Sega Genesis looked at their prime, but applied to the third dimension.
But in 3D.
Now I don't dislike looking at these games, and the Dreamcast, PlayStation 2, and Xbox and GameCube were just home to so much freaking innovation and just taking everything that previous generation did and then doing it one better. And that was like the evolution from NES to Super, from 8 to 16-bit. You were going from that and being like, well, they established the footholds in the 8-bit generation, but 16-bit refined them and made them great. And that's what we were really getting out of this generation. And while there is plenty of that on Dreamcast and plenty of that on GameCube, PS2 was just the epicenter for so many completely insane things. And Katamari was one of those things. Katamari was like one of those games that Miyamoto was just like, damn, I wish I made that. And because it's so perfect.
It's a perfect game. It really is a perfect game. And it was so smart when it was brought out. It was $20.
It was $20 goddamn dollars. It was the perfect price for it.
I played that for the first time
every angle
in your apartment in Brooklyn. I came up to do something with you, and you were like, before we go, you have to see this. And I think you had even gotten a copy like at a convention or something and gotten it early, because I don't think it was out everywhere else yet. It might have even been, if I'm remembering it correctly, it might have been the Las Vegas Game Crazy convention where you guys came back with it, and then a couple weeks later it was in the store.
I feel like I remember playing it for the first time in my Brooklyn Game Crazy, but I can't remember for sure. I have such specific memories of playing that in that storage, showing it to everybody I fucking could. But you might be right. They might have showed it to us at the Game Crazy convention.
It's just, and what a fucking soundtrack.
Oh, the music, the visuals, the writing, the characters.
It's
everything about it is just masterful.
It's absurdist art in a video game done incredibly respectfully and incredibly well. It's one of the few, like, I know that seems fucking crazy to say, but it's one of the few games that I would say it's a perfect game. There's just nothing wrong with it.
I mean,
none of the sequels improved on it.
I agree. A lot of people would argue with you on that. There's a lot of folks that prefer We Love Katamari, but I find it there's a spark in that original game that I've never felt was recaptured with any of its sequels.
There might be it might be better technically in the sequel.
Better on paper,
look a little better. It might run a little smoother, all those things. It doesn't matter. There is just something so simple and perfect and honest about Katamari Damacy that is just, oh my God.
Yeah.
It's just, I want to roll you up and fucking good, man. All right, next on the list.
What's next for you?
Start trundling through. $5, one of my absolute favorite games. The most violent Disney cartoon you will ever play, Mark of Kri.
I can't believe it. That's my next pick, too.
Oh my God, what a brilliant fucking game. I can't believe our lists are exactly the same.
This is ridiculous.
That is, I'm honestly really, really surprised by that, but really happy. I think the next one will be possibly a divergence. But man, Mark of Kri, just what a brilliant fucking game. The sequel, Rise of the Kasai, also very good, but I genuinely prefer the first one. Not because I think you have to have the experience first. I just think I just enjoy the game more. The combination of the way the fighting worked with highlighting groups of enemies with the right analog stick and assigning them to the different buttons except for X, because that was jump. So, there's 6 enemies on the screen. You kind of sweep the right analog stick around the screen. 2 enemies go to square, 2 go to circle, 2 go to triangle. And then as you hit the different buttons, you attack the different enemies. Such an interesting combat mechanic that's never been replicated. Somewhat surprisingly, I think, because it works really well. On top of that, the stealth kill aspect of the game, really, really great. Really well done. The way you could transfer your consciousness into the Raven to kind of scout out and plan your way through the different maps. Just an absolutely fucking brilliant game. The only thing for me that hampers this game is the room after room of guys at the end of the game. It was just room after room of all of these enemies, and it was like, oh man, this is dragging a little bit before you get to the final fight. But man, what a great fucking game.
Yeah, I don't have very much experience with this, but the little bit that I have played of it, I was really impressed by. But the reason I picked it above anything else was that Sony did a lot of interesting new IPs on the PlayStation 2. Like, yeah, they had these internal studios that weren't just doing the platformer type stuff, which we'll get to again later. But they were doing these really interesting experiences. There was like this. It was like Primal, Kinetica. Yeah. There were these not always amazing, but really interesting attempts at creating new IPs that would continue on. And Mark of Kri was the one that just impressed me most. And I think it's just the greatest encapsulation of the kind of creativity that was coming out of Sony at that time. And it's such a PlayStation 2 game, because it also really didn't continue on to platforms that followed it.
It got its sequel, and that was it.
And I think it's a must play part of what makes the PS2 what it is. It's part of its personality. It's part of its DNA. Is games like this, and I think that's the pinnacle of those types of games. And at $5, what the hell?
Yeah, man, this is the one like PS2 game that I the way that you, every time there's a new Nintendo Direct, there's a little piece of you that's like, oh, is there some Kid Icarus shit? Is it coming? I am waiting for the new Mark of Pre, the HD remake of this, the something with this franchise, because I just fucking love it. All right, next on my list, the second most expensive game I have, the only $9 game I have, and where perhaps you and I diverge between 2 and 3. I went with Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, because I think that game is possibly the best of the Metal Gear Solid franchise.
And I put 2 on my list, and I'm gonna stick with the same reasoning I went with Devil May Cry 1. I think obviously you can't go Metal Gear Solid 1 because it's a PS1 game, but
right.
I think
technically this is the first in the story.
You're right.
If I could swing you, they're both so great.
They're both so great. Metal Gear Solid 2 was another one of those watershed moments, though. It's like
it was
that was another system seller. That was one of the first games that people were like, well, what's Metal Gear Solid going to look like on PS2? What's that going to be like? And it was such a mean-spirited bait and switch with the whole ride thing. It really was. But it's such a wacky game. It's so weird, and it's still, even as early as it was, one of the best-looking games on the damn platform.
It really is.
But I couldn't fault you for saying Metal Gear Solid 3. I got lost in Metal Gear Solid 3, as in, like, that was where the series really started to lose me, because I was spending all this time going through the minutia of all the camouflage, trying to figure out how to, like, all right, I'm going to go 3 steps, and then I'm going to change my camouflage and increase my percentage of invisibility.
Sure.
It became too much for my brain.
A
friend of mine was playing
most
through
of that.
Friend of mine was playing through when I was living in Brooklyn, and like the end fight. Like, there's a lot of really interesting stuff in there. Like, holy crap, there's a lot of really, really cool, interesting stuff going on in Metal Gear Solid 3. The possibility of creating time paradoxes by killing young Ocelot. Like, it was such a Kojima game. Because Metal Gear Solid 2 is truly where it started to go directly the fuck off the rails.
Yeah, it really
was like
did.
Metal Gear Solid 1 had just the right amount of goofy in it to still be, like, acceptable by mainstream audiences. Metal Gear Solid 2 is just like, no. You want to keep playing Metal Gear games? You better get used to this shit, because I'm going to talk, and I'm going to talk some more, and things aren't going to make much sense, and it's going to be conspiracy theories, and this dude's a fucking vampire. Like, this shit's weird.
Shit's about to get real weird, guys. Buckle up.
But it is in it. It is a hell of an experience, and such a PlayStation 2 experience. Metal Gear Solid 2 was my pick, but I don't fault you for 3.
There are 3 things that put Metal Gear Solid 3 at the top of the list for me. 1, the theme song. The James Bond-esque Snake Eater theme song. Oh my God.
Everybody loves that more than me.
Oh my God, it's brilliant. How fucking dare you? Just incredible. The second thing is the fight with the end. Because, like, if you don't fire at him, he just dies of old age. It's fucking awesome. It's so ridiculous. I love it. But the number one thing that pushed it over the top is that up to this point, like, Metal Gear had been this expansion of destruction and mechs and nukes and just all of this bombastic shit getting crazier and crazier with each game. But because this game took place earlier in the timeline, it necessarily couldn't have that escalation of weaponry. So the decision to have the final fight in this game be against the boss in a field of white flowers, and all of your weapons are taken away, and it's just a fist fight. And it's gorgeous, and it's so beautifully told, and you have to go against your mentor, and it's the path to becoming Big Boss, and just oh my, like getting to that moment in the game was, what the fuck is even happening? I don't even know. Like, this is so great, and such a real, like, video games as a storytelling mechanism was just, I love it. I love it to pieces. I love it. I can't fault you for Metal Gear Solid 2. For me, that little ending bit, and the song and the fight with the end, but that little ending, and when he loses his eye, and your vision is fucked up in the rest of the game, like, it's fucking awesome. I love this game so much. God, I love Metal Gear. Anyway, next on the list. I don't know if this made your list, because I don't think you're a huge fan of this. This was my other $2 game that I considered taking off to scoot Burnout 3 Takedown in there. But I really, really enjoyed the first Onimusha. Onimusha Warlords is $2. It is a continuation of the tank-style Resident Evil, Capcom, Dino Crisis thing that they were doing. But man, it was Resident Evil in feudal Japan, samurais. Like, yep, that's for me. I'll do that. And it's $2. It's great. It's a great game.
I didn't even consider that one, but you're right. It is a good pick. All right, what do you got next?
Not bad. Let me see here. $5. Kingdom Hearts 2 Greatest Hits Edition.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's Kingdom Hearts. Like, such an
about it. It's
such an identifiably PlayStation thing. Fucking wild ass. Like, really thinking about it, what a wild ass thing that's happened.
Indeed.
Disney and Square, I mean, just banana sandwich. You feel like I feel like you need to go soon, so we're gonna kind of plow through the rest of these. Next one on my list for $8. The second of the mascot games, but not the one you think, or maybe you do if you listen to this podcast. Sly Cooper 3: Honor Among Thieves Greatest Hits.
Wow. Okay.
Thought about Ratchet and Clank. Thought about it. Going Commando is really good, but it's $1 more. And I personally prefer the Sly Cooper series. I love the way it looks. I love the way it plays. And I feel that there are better Ratchet and Clank games later on in console generations. So that's why this one got here. Have I skipped over any letters you have?
You have, actually.
What do you got? All right.
Well, immediately following Metal Gear Solid 2, I, for $6, threw on MLB 11 The Show. Because...
it's the show!
It's the show. But it's also such a defining piece of PlayStation 2, is this series of baseball games. And 11 was the most recent one. They were all pretty cheap. I don't know enough about them to say one's better than the other, so I just went with the most recent one. But baseball games you couldn't properly get on other platforms. Like, there was MVP Baseball was during this generation, and EA was knocking it out of the park with that. MVP was doing great, but
knocking it out of the park.
Then Electronic Arts ruined sports games forever by buying football, and then the baseball was part of the fallout of that. And the ability for first-party companies to make their own baseball games exclusively for their systems with the MLB license meant that EA couldn't make MVP anymore. And Sony came up with MLB The Show, and it was as good as you could have hoped for a baseball game to be. And
really
then that just kind of kept going forward. So I thought MLB The Show was an important thing to have on there. I was genuinely shocked that it didn't make your list.
I have a hard time putting numbered sports games on these lists now, because they're so tied to that specific year. Mm-hmm. You know, like when we were talking NES and Super Nintendo, whatever, like Bases Loaded is Bases Loaded.
Yeah.
You know, it's all kind of bullshit made up, like whatever. You know, MLB The Show 11 was, you know, whatever year it was that it came out. But it's just so tied to that year. It's that, like, I really considered putting MVP 2005 on here, because it's just one of the greatest baseball games ever made. I don't know. It just didn't make the list. Thought about it, thought about the show, thought about MVP. Had to skip them both, though.
That's fair. The next one, it's not a game that I associate with PlayStation, but it's a genre that I associate with PlayStation, and I think it's the best one there is. And that is for $9, Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, see, that's a GameCube game to me.
It is 100% a GameCube game to me. I absolutely agree. Just like Burnout's an Xbox game to me. However,
I played it on the PS4, but like that is a GameCube game to me.
Action horror games are a huge part of the PlayStation identity. Resident Evil,
for sure,
as a brand, is a huge part of PlayStation's identity. And PlayStation 2 really didn't get much in the way of original Resident Evil games. Like, there was like Dead Aim and shit like that, but Resident Evil Survivor
yeah, those suck.
Code Veronica was a Dreamcast game, and 4 was a GameCube game. But because of the Resident Evil brand being so inextricably linked to PlayStation, and because of horror being so closely related to PlayStation, but completely incapable of adding things like Rule of Rose or anything like that because they're just expensive.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4 on PlayStation 2 is still goddamn great. It's one of the best games I've ever played. It's one of my favorite games that entire generation. I don't care which system you're playing it for. So yes, this is going to make my GameCube list, but I also thought it was really important to have it here to represent that genre on PlayStation 2. And
yeah, I don't disagree.
To catch up with your list, for $10, I went with the first Sly Cooper, because I 100% agree.
All right.
If you're going to... The big three were Jack, Ratchet, and Sly on the PlayStation 2. And just because I think you got to go with the beginning, you got to start at the start on those kinds of games, I went with the first one, even though it was more expensive than the sequels. Because Sly Cooper, I think, is the most unique out of all of them. And that's really saying something, because Ratchet and Clank is pretty goddamn unique.
It really is.
That's a super creative game, and I have a lot of respect for Ratchet and Clank. But if I had to pick one out of those three, which is why I yanked the other two off, I would have to go with Sly Cooper, because it just has such an interesting and very PS2 specific personality. Like, I choose that over Jack and Dexter every day of the week and 2 times on Sunday.
For sure.
But Ratchet continued way later, and like you said, it got better on other platforms. Like,
yeah, the PS5 Ratchet is apparently incredible.
Ratchet and Clank is no longer it's a PlayStation brand, but it's not a specific PS2 thing. Sly and Jack are very PS2, and I just think Sly was a cooler concept in general. So Sly Cooper, $10.
I love Sly Cooper. The reason I didn't go with the first one, I do really, really like the first one. I don't like the one-hit kills in the first one.
Yeah, no, that's 100% fair. I get that.
That's the main knock that I have against that. The next game on my list, honestly, this one hurt the most.
How much do you have left?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games left.
All right, do a couple. I'll catch up. I'll pipe in alphabetically when I need to.
Okay. This one broke my heart. I wanted to put SSX Tricky on here. I could not
God, I didn't even
it.
think of SSX.
I couldn't afford it.
Damn.
But the original SSX is $3.
Shit. And I don't have I don't have nothing on here that I would take $3 off. I really don't, but God, SSX, what a good pick that was. I didn't even think of that.
Fun game. It was the EA Sports Big, right? When they were doing that whole fucking thing.
Isn't it fucking crazy that, like, there's so many amazing PS2 games that I didn't even think of fucking SSX. I didn't even think of that one.
I like, as I started making this list, because we're going to pretend I didn't text, are we doing the PS1 list earlier this morning? I don't even know where I was when I wrote that. When I started making this list a month ago, and again, like, I revamped it today to make sure that I had accurate pricing, as of, this afternoon or whatever. One of the first games that I wrote down of, like, this has to be on here was Tricky. Because I was like, man, fucking SSX Tricky is just...
man.
What an incredible game. But the first SSX is $3. Tricky, the greatest hits version, is $11. It's a better game, like no question.
But this is starter.
But I couldn't.
The only games you're ever going to get.
Yeah,
this is where you start, and so it's
just couldn't fit it.
That's what she said.
I wish. SSX, $3, just amazing. Next on my list for $5, because this is another one of those franchises. It just has to. You have to. It's a PlayStation console. You have to have it. Tekken 4.
Yep, that's on my list too. That's my next one.
$5. 4. What an awesome game.
Yep. I'm not even a huge Tekken fan, and I wanted to go with Soul Calibur, but if I had to pick one that really says PlayStation, it's Tekken. No question. And I vastly prefer Soul Calibur, but
I do too.
Yeah, Soul Calibur 2 is a GameCube game. Soul Calibur 1's a Dreamcast game.
Yeah, it just is. Tekken is the PlayStation thing. And Tekken 4 is great. It looked incredible. It played incredible. It was everything you loved about the earlier Tekken games, but like gorgeous. It's a fucking awesome game. $5.
Yeah. Great
Goddamn.
pick. All right, I'm very curious what the rest of your list is.
All right, this next one is definitely not on your list. This is the most out there choice that I have, but I put as much time into this game as I think any other game. It's one of my favorite games of all time, and it's not even a culture that I'm all that into. Tokyo Extreme Racer Zero. $7.
Yeah.
I fucking adore this game. It's one of, for my money, the most perfect racing games ever made. The car customization stuff was really cool. It had really like awesome cars that, you know, some like Japanese exclusive cars, right? You're racing around like accurate representations, quote unquote, accurate representations of the streets of Tokyo and the highways around Tokyo in a fucking Nissan Skyline that's all tricked out, different paint and spoilers and fucking body kits and whatever. All of that shit was so huge, like in the mid 2000s and early 2000s. And this game is just outstanding. I fucking love this game. Whereas the serious gearhead car people were playing Gran Turismo, the rest of us were playing things like, what was the fucking Capcom one? The cell shaded Automodelista. Cool game. For my money, Tokyo Extreme Racer Zero. That's the one. $7.
It's a good pick.
All right. I've got two more. This one, I wasn't sure which one was going to make the list, but I knew one of them had to. I ended up going Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3, Greatest Hits version, for $5.
Nice.
It's the fucking Tony Hawk on the PlayStation 2. Like, what more do you need? This one had Wolverine in it. It's fucking great, man. It's great. 4 added some more like trick connectivity into it, but like, you know, and then there's Tony Hawk's Underground, which is really good, and like there's a lot of Tony Hawk content to pick from for the PlayStation 2. Ultimately, for $5, you really can't beat Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3. It is a fucking outstanding game.
Which
one did you have? Because you had to have one. I'm almost positive.
I didn't. I skipped.
Oh
Tony
my god!
Hawk. I don't associate Tony Hawk with anything but PS1. Like, I don't know why. You're right. You're 100% right. It belongs on there, no question. But it just I don't associate it with PS2. I looked at it. I said, nah. I don't know why.
Right.
Something wrong with me.
All right. Well, I got one left.
What is
it? I got a $3 title.
Oh wow. Okay.
It's not Zone of the Enders. It's Virtua Fighter 4.
I knew that
Greatest
was coming.
Hits.
Yeah, there you go.
$3.
I know how much you love that game.
Love that game. Love that game. $3. There were a couple other $3 games that I considered around that price, or maybe finagle something to get a $4 game on there. But man, Virtua Fighter 4 is just a gorgeous, gorgeous version of what Virtua Fighter could be. Just absolutely love this game. Love the new characters that they added. Played a shit ton of this game. Still one of my favorite fighting games of all time. And that's my list.
That's all pick. 20. This is a weird one that I could not convince myself to take off the list. Again, I mentioned something like Mark of Cree that was like, PlayStation was just doing some real interesting shit. And
it was.
This is the most expensive game on my list, and I just think if you're starting off with PlayStation 2, to understand what this system was capable of, the kind of things that this thing could do, for $14, War of the Monsters has to be there.
Oh, man.
I sacrificed so much to get that game on this list, but every time I looked at it, I was like,
I know.
Every game on the list is like, I can't justify even Tony Hawk. I can't justify that over this because this is so uniquely PlayStation 2. And it's one of the most shining examples of what PS2 gaming was that was so tragically overlooked, because I know it may not be the most perfect, amazing game ever made, but it is so interesting and so much fun and so damn cool and so technically impressive. This was one of the first times I had ever seen such dynamic split-screen gaming, where it came together when you got close to each other, it split apart when you got apart. It just freaking worked. This game was mind-blowing. And I just think it's a great example of what PS2 gaming was capable of, and it beat out everything else. It took Kingdom Hearts off my list. It took Ratchet and Clank off my list. It took fucking Dance Dance Revolution off my list. Like, there's so much good stuff. Right? DDR Max was totally on my maybe list because DDR...
I know.
It's another one of those, like, yes, it's an arcade thing, but it was also such a PlayStation 2 thing. There were so many DDR games on PS2, and I spent a bunch of time with DDR Max, then DDR Max 2, and
we were all in much better shape
one or two of the other ones,
with DDR.
But, like, the DDR games were a big part of what made PS2 so damn special, but not more than War of the Monsters. It was so freaking important. $14 is a lot, but...
It's a lot. It's so much, like, I kept looking at my list because I have my secondary list of stuff that I cut. That's a $99 list, and it's way shorter. It's only 9 games. But War of the Monsters is one of my favorite games that any PlayStation console has ever had. I fucking love it. The main reason I took it off is, and it's not the best excuse because I know that is the same thing for a lot of these other ones, but man, there's a couple versions of like that style of game that are available now that, while they might not be as good, kind of scratch that itch. You're not wrong. It captures everything. The personality of that game, it's just this perfect encapsulation of like the B-movie 50s like craziness that was happening. It's just a wonderful, wonderful game. I fucking love it. I wanted it on there, but I just couldn't. I couldn't.
Yeah, it was tough to keep that one on there, but every single time I'd look at my list and be like, well, I could solve this problem right now by dropping War of the Monsters, but not over...
Yeah.
So the things I cut were Amplitude, Beyond Good and Evil, Ratchet and Clank, Kingdom Hearts, Shadow of the Colossus. Actually, that was a pretty easy cut because like that game just doesn't fucking work on PlayStation.
It just doesn't. It's incredible.
Ico,
but it just doesn't work.
Rygar, DDR Max, like Rygar again. Rygar was really cool, but then God of War happened and it kind of became redundant.
Just do God of War.
Yeah. Gran Turismo 3, Jak and Daxter, and Street Fighter Anniversary was another one I really struggled with because Street Fighter Anniversary was so perfect. Like I played so much of that on PS2, it was ridiculous. With the what was it, Ultra Street Fighter 2, where you could pick like World Warrior Guile versus like Super Turbo Akuma and things. That was so broken and so much fun. And it was
really, really fun.
I was finally the ability to play Third Strike with a PS2 controller. And like, that was a big freaking deal because like before that, the only home port of Third Strike was Dreamcast, and that's not a great controller to play 2D fighting games.
It's not.
With. It's just not, unless you're a big arcade stick guy, which I'm not. I'm a D-pad guy, and God, the PlayStation D-pad was so good for Third Strike. It's not my favorite, but this is where I played a shitload of that. Like, holy cow, I played so much Street Fighter Anniversary, Third Strike in particular on PS2. But it was $11, and it was like,
I know it's hard. It's hard to put it on there.
I have to have a fighting game because fighting games are a part of this, and War of the Monsters technically scratches that itch and others, and I have Tekken 4 on the list. So there we go. But that was my backup list. What was your backup list? Nice and quick.
My backup list,
the listener ones.
Def Jam Vendetta is $19. I fucking love that game. That game's fucking amazing. Another really interesting, same kind of thing like you were saying with War of the Monsters, but a game that just never caught on, but god damn it is it fun. Downhill Domination, $10. Fucking adore that game.
Fucking biking game, right?
Yeah, such a great game. So good. Gran Turismo 4, $7. A game that I really, really love, and it really, like, I wanted to find a way on the first list, but just couldn't fit it on there. NBA Street, $7. Awesome game. Psychonauts, $19. I played it on Xbox. It's an Xbox game to me.
It is.
So spoilers when we get to the Xbox. Metal Gear Solid 2 at $6. Ratchet and Clank Going Commando at $9. War of the Monsters at $14, and then Zone of the Enders at $8. That's a $99 list.
That's pretty solid.
And then just real quick, the other ones that I cut. This is a $76 list. Destroy All Humans Greatest Hits was $4. Devil May Cry, like you had, was $6. Guitar Hero 3, $4. Marvel Ultimate Alliance Special Edition, really cool game, $5. Mega Man Anniversary Collection, that first one that was just Mega Man 1 through 8, $4. NFL Street, really, really fun, that's $11. Onimusha 2 was $7. Prince of Persia, The Warrior Within, the sequel to Sands of Time, not the shitty third one, was $5. It really sucked to not put one of the Prince of Persia games on here.
Yeah, Sands of Time was another one that I forgot to write that one down, but that was definitely one of the serious considerations. I loved Sands of Time.
Oh, it's so great. I love Warrior Within as well. I think they're both really awesome. SOCOM, $3, but are you going to find 127 other people to play with right now? Doubt it. One of my very, very favorite PS2 games, but it just couldn't make the list at $15 for either the first or the second. Shadow of Destiny, really cool Konami game. I've talked about it a bunch on here. $15 for that. Star Ocean Till the End of Time, Greatest Hits is $5. That's fucking Star Ocean for $5. And then Tony Hawk 4 was $7. And there's so many others. Like this is such a hard one to do. I'm really happy with my overall list with the 20 that I have. I think it's a great, great investment of $100.
I love that how many of our games were the same.
I can't believe
that was awesome.
Me neither. That is great.
All right, let's take a look at what our listeners said. So over on our Discord chat, Dr. Rosalio was the first one with 11 copies of Devil May Cry 2.
Fuck, man.
Chrono Dan was up next. Let's see. Devil May Cry. This actually wasn't on my list originally, but I took off Jack and Daxter to make it fit. It's great and deserves a spot on the list. Final Fantasy X. This is an absolute killer price for a very solid Final Fantasy game. Awkward laughing section included at no additional cost. Final Fantasy XII. Again, you can't beat the price for what's still such a unique and ambitious RPG. God of War. Iconic. I don't see every PS list without PlayStation 2 list without God of War. Agreed. Grand Theft Auto 3, Greatest Hits. San Andreas was better, but this was cheaper. GTA is a must for this list. Guitar Hero 2, you can't have a better time for under $3. It's just not possible. Agreed.
It's just
Kingdom
not.
Hearts. Okay, I haven't played Kingdom Hearts very much, but its importance and popularity can't be understated. It's a monster of a franchise, and it started right here. I agree. Metal Gear Solid 2, the game that made us all realize what video games were capable of. Phenomenal experience. Ratchet and Clank, up there with Jak and Daxter, some really solid platforming on the system. Glad this has kept going. These games are awesome. Shadow of the Colossus, what an unexpected and unique experience this game is. A beautiful piece of art that really pushed what the PS2 could do, maybe a bit too far to be honest. Soul Calibur 2, it's Soul Calibur 2 and it's under $7. Yep. Star Wars The Force Unleashed. That's a good pick. Star Wars fan services finest and a bargain. Tony Hawk 4. Tony Hawk may have started on PS1, but there's a great time to be had here for under $5. And Xenosaga Episode 1 for $22.
Yeah.
Good lord. This was my splurge. Xenosaga Episode 1 was vast, ambitious, and for Xenogears fans like myself, it was such an incredible experience to see that universe continued, even if it was not officially canon with Xenogears because of it being a different publisher. This game is very flawed in a lot of ways, but it has a special place in my heart. Xenosaga Episode 3 is a much better game, but also much more expensive at $169.06. Good lord. At $22.24, you can afford this game, plus some popcorn you'll need for the 45-minute long cutscenes.
Yeah, not wrong.
Let's see. Scrolling. All right, Dr. Roselia has a real list. Devil May Cry 3, Devil May Cry, Resident Evil 4, Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne, Resident Evil Code Veronica X, Katamari Damacy, Shin Megami Tensei Digital Devil Saga, Beautiful Joe, King of Fighters Maximum Impact, and Final Fantasy X. That's a solid list right there. Beautiful Joe, again, it's a freaking GameCube game.
It's a GameCube. It's one of the ones that I looked up, and I was like, nope, this isn't coming out on here.
I wanted to put it on my PS2 list, too, because this game is great no matter what platform you play it for. But it didn't beat out the other games for me.
Yeah.
All right, Rumblemins. What do we got here from Rumblemins? Burnout 3 Takedown. Good pick. Guitar Hero 2, God of War, Gran Turismo 3, Grand Theft Auto 3, In the Groove. Wow, that's a pick. Katamari Damacy, Kingdom Hearts, Need for Speed Underground. That's a good one. Ratchet and Clank, Shadow of the Colossus, Splinter Cell. Damn, the original Splinter Cell was only $4.
That's an Xbox game.
Yeah, it's one that I associate with Xbox, but yeah, that's a really good pick. SSX Tricky and Tekken Tag Tournament.
I do love Tag Tournament as well.
Yeah, I went with 4 because it was cheaper. Tag was the first one that came to my mind, but it was $7, and 4 was like, well, there you go.
You can have this.
Let's see. Tiny Matt. We got Ratchet and Clank Going Commando. Time Splitters. Excellent choice.
Oh, fuck. I love Time Splitters.
Gran Turismo 4. Tony Hawk 3. Twisted Metal Black. Damn, I didn't even think of that. And ATV Off-Road Fury. That's another one.
That's Smuggler's Run. It's kind of like ATV Off-Road Fury.
Mm-hmm.
Just one of those
Freak
games.
Style. Freak Style. What was Freak Style? I can't remember what Freak Style was. I keep thinking of Trick Style for Dreamcast. I remember this name. I think it was a motocross game by EA Big. Final Fantasy X, Sly 2, Band of Thieves, GTA Vice City, SSX 3, Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance, yes, Mega Man Anniversary Collection, and Hot Shots Golf 4. Nice picks. Let's see what else we got here. Anybody else? Duroc Pig. What's Duroc Pig got for us? We got Ace Combat 4, Greatest Hits, Devil May Cry, Gran Turismo 3, Kingdom Hearts 2, Mark of Kree, Metal Gear Solid 2, NBA Street, Need for Speed Hot Pursuit 2, Onimusha, Okami. There you go, Okami.
Yeah.
$11.70, but yeah. Ratchet and Clank, Resident Evil 4, Sly Cooper, Zone of the Enders, and Virtua Fighter 4. That was like a neat combo of both of our lists right there. Plus
it really was.
Some Ace Combat. Trashman's got a list for us. We've got Ratchet and Clank Up Your Arsenal.
Clank.
Yeah. The best Ratchet and Clank game. Devil May Cry 3 Special Edition. The best Devil May Cry game. Tony Hawk 3. The best Tony Hawk game. Dragon Quest. These are his words, not mine. Dragon Quest 8. The best Dragon Quest game. I thought about this one too, but it was $19. It was too rich for my blood.
That's hard.
Final Fantasy 12. 12 is greater than 10. Fire Pro Wrestling Returns.
Yeah, it's a great one.
This is not a button mashing game. It's a technical wrestling title that utilizes something of an advanced rock paper scissors mechanic. It has a steep learning curve, but once you're in, the return is immense. There are over 300 starting characters, and you can create another 500 just for kicks. Soul Calibur 2, taking perfection and trying to improve it. It's also a lot less buggy than Soul Calibur 3. That I agree with. Soul Calibur 3 felt a little messy. Again, Soul Calibur 3. Soul Calibur 1 was a Dreamcast game. Soul Calibur 2 sold infinitely better on GameCube because it had Link. And then Soul Calibur 3 was a fucking PlayStation exclusive on the one that nobody wanted to play.
Yeah.
Let's follow up the Hayachi one and make the exclusive... Soul Calibur 3 makes me so mad. But it did include the return of Li Long, so... God of War. Do I have to explain this? Shadow of the Colossus. Its iconic, stellar soundtrack pushed the boundaries of the system. Metal Gear Solid 2 Sons of Liberty. More ambitious, better gameplay, improved voice acting, and additional mechanics that took it above and beyond where the first stood. People bought Zone of the Enders just to get the demo just to play this game. That is true.
Yeah.
Zone of the Enders, Second Runner. Speaking of Zone of the Enders series, holy heck, what an underappreciated gem this was back in the day. They decided to take everything cool from the first game and amped it up to 11. The graphics, the fights, and even the story is better. Bonus points that it's called Anubis in Japan. I didn't know that. Jak and Daxter, one of the best platformers on the system, at $3. It's straight up steal. Prince of Persia: Sands of Time. There it is. Man, what a great reboot. Lots of polish and a showcase of Ubisoft Montreal's talent. Wall running and time rewinding at its best. And Dark Cloud. Level 5 cut their teeth with this one. The concept of
it's a cool game.
Georama system incentivized players to rebuild the towns in the game so you could either advance certain aspects of the story or acquire particular items. It also had a neat weapon leveling system that I don't recall seeing in other titles at the time. Not as well loved as its sequel, but an enjoyable adventure nonetheless. And that's the total of his list. His difficult cuts were Ring of Red, Crimson Sea 2, Time Crisis 1 or 2, Capcom vs. SNK 2, Klonoa 2, and Resident Evil 4.
Those are all kind of expensive, unfortunately.
Sorry. Dark Cloud reminded me of another one that almost made my cut, and that was Okage, the Shadow King.
Yeah, that almost made mine too, but that's like another $15 one, I think.
Yeah, I don't remember what the price was, but I looked at it and was like, nah, that's not gonna do. Not gonna get us there. But no. that was one that I really thought about. Let's see. We got more. Wow, everyone participated in this one. We got Rob Metzger here. Jak 2, Ratchet & Clank Going Commando, Ridge Racer 5, SSX 3, Sly Cooper, Tony Hawk 4, Twist Metal Black, NCAA Football 2007, MVP Baseball 2005, DDR Max. There you go with the DDR Max. Thank you. Final Fantasy X, Rock Band 2, Soul Calibur 2, Madden 05, and ESPN NHL Hockey. For a grand total of $100. Well done, Rob Metzger.
Yeah, man.
And our last one, we got one more. Reformat gives us Guitar Hero 2. Look, everybody knows that Rock Band is a better series, but Guitar Hero 2 is still a load of fun. And according to the rules of the Stone Age starter kits, you already have all the necessary peripherals to play the game in these lists. So pick this one up. It's $2.89. There's not much you can get for these days for $2.89, so why not make it a Guitar Hero game? Well, it's well said. Virtua Fighter 4. If you want a good 3D fighting game for the PS2, it's hard to beat VF4. The gameplay is rock solid, and remember seeing the snow for the first time, and how the fighters would leave footprints in the snow as you fought, and how the footprints would persist throughout the match? Remember thinking how cool your PS2 was when you saw that? I know I do. Pick this one up and you won't be disappointed. Well said. Star Ocean till the end of time. I mean, sure, you could run with Final Fantasy X for your RPG fix, but in my not-so-humble opinion, Star Ocean is the better game, and for only $4.50, you really can't go wrong.
Really can't.
Mega Man Anniversary Collection. Now, how bummed were you that you weren't able to pick any Mega Man games for your NES and SNES starter kits because they were too expensive? Well, be bummed no more, because you can pick up the Mega Man Anniversary Collection for under $5 and play all the NES, Super NES, and even 2 arcade Mega Man games. That's a lot of bang for your buck, and you'd be really depriving yourself of a lot of good times if you missed out on this deal. I agree wholeheartedly. This was another one that I really did think about putting on the list. It's such a goddamn good value. It's just like...
It really is.
They don't personify PS2 for me, is the only reason it didn't make my list.
Exactly.
But it's a damn
That's
good
why
pick,
it's on my secondary.
I respect the shit out of anybody putting it on there.
Thirdendary?
Robotech Invasion, based on the Invid invasion area of Robotech, which was itself adapted from the Genesis Climber Moss Pit. What? I found this game to be some word that starts with M. I found this game to be surprisingly fun. Sure, it only has 57% Metacritic score, but what the hell do random internet reviewers know anyway? Instead, you should listen to this random internet reviewer and pick up this game. Worst case, you're out $5.46. Best case, you find out this is actually a bit of a hidden gem. Destroy All Humans. There's not much I can say here that hasn't already been said. Just some good campy fun. I love this game and you will too. Shadow of the Colossus. It's Shadow of the freaking Colossus, official title. Sure, the remaster is even better, but this one is the coolest, deepest, and most emotional video games ever and can be yours for the low, low price of just $8.15. Katamari Damacy. Do you hate fun? If so, stay away from this one. It's a fun hater's worst nightmare. I mean it. This game is really fun, like over-the-top fun. And also, don't get it if you hate good video game soundtracks. But if you do like fun, then this one is a no-brainer. And then Armored Core 2, Another Age. Oh, Armored Core. I wish they still made games in this series. Oh, wait, they do. They're even working on the 24th game in the series. 24 games. It's almost like there's something about this series that's super great. So, maybe pick this one up and find out. Ooh, Ring of Red for $20.44. Wow. I feel like this one
sound right.
I feel like this one's a hidden gem. It was one of the first games I picked up for the PS2 back in the day, and one that I still think about. Ring of Red has everything turn-based strategy and alternate history in which you pilot diesel-powered mechs to liberate Japan from the Soviet Union. Fun gameplay, fantastic graphics, and even the Konami name from the era when that still meant something. Sure, this one's $20, but this might be the best $20 you ever spent. And Samurai Showdown Anthology for $23.93.
Oof. I cannot agree with that one. Not at that price.
50s, 60s, 80s. Wow, it does add up to $97.94. I'm just looking at it like, wow. Back in the day, all the other kids were hogging the Street Fighter II machines in the arcade, but not me. I was playing Samurai Showdown. Why? Because this is perhaps the single greatest fighting game series of all time. That's why. And here you can get the first 5 games all in one package for under $24. So get those thumb calluses ready because you'll need them. I respect your choice there. I don't agree.
I just can't agree, especially because when this podcast is over, that just reminds me, the current Samurai Showdown collection on PS5 is on sale for $4.
Damn.
So I'm just going to go buy that.
Yeah.
Instead.
It's a solid play right there. Yeah, that's good, but like...
I fucking love Samurai Showdown. I love Samurai Showdown.
It's absolutely
I could
great.
not cut $23 worth of games off my list for it, though.
Same here. Yeah, it's... Agreed. But wow, thanks everybody for participating. Those are some really cool lists. I especially like the 11 copies of Devil May Cry 2.
That might be the best list out of all of them. Yeah. I know I've got 20 games on my list, but it's not 11 copies of Devil May Cry 2.
Absolutely wonderful.
Oh, man. No, you guys are wonderful. And I was really expecting this one to be a long episode. It has been a long episode, so I'm going to shut up here in a second. But, man, this era of gaming, like, there's just so much good stuff. There's so much good stuff. I always say that, like, Super Nintendo is my favorite system, but it might actually be the PS2.
I mean, my only thing is
it's hard to argue against it.
I love the PS2. I don't go back to a lot of these games very often, is my thing.
Yeah.
Whereas I go back to Super Nintendo all the time because, that was what I played when I was a kid. And I like 2D gaming better than 3D gaming in general. So, but God, do I love the PS2. Like, that was a great
system. Good system. What a damn good system. If you are going to start collecting retro games, this is the system to buy for. Even complete in box isn't absurd.
Agreed. Yeah,
like,
you could...
There's some crazy shit, but... See, that's what I was thinking. Not Ring of Red. Rule of Rose is the one that's super expensive.
Oh my God, yeah. That's
like
that's a couple $100 loose.
Yeah. Even complete in box, you can get some really crazy, important, special games for the PlayStation that are like relatively affordable, comparatively speaking. You know?
I do.
Yeah, it's a good system to start with.
Well,
Man, I love Gungrave. Couldn't put that on there for $37 though. Not that good.
Well, yes, we've been at this for a long time. It's getting late, and it's time for us to put this one down, to call it quits.
That's right.
Sop up the blood and entrails. Will there
Yeah,
still
this
be
was
clown in
a
the sky for me?
3-hour episode, Chris.
Well, I don't know. A lot of that was me running away, and
I mean, but it was filled with jokes.
it was filled with jokes. I'm looking forward to all of this wackiness being cobbled together for a specially unique patron-only podcast blast. I don't know. We'll see.
That's right. We're making Evan work for his money.
So hard for it, honey. That is our show. Join us next week when we will be joined by author Matt Adams, who I confirmed with today. It's definitely happening. He wrote a book called Sega CD Summer, and he sent copies to me and Dan to read. What did we think? What will he think of what we think? We think we'll find out. We're on most social media platforms, and if you want to get in touch with us, we aren't very difficult to find. All it takes is a quick look at our show notes, and you'll see links to our social media accounts, as well as all manner of other fun stuff, like a link to our namesake, StoneAgeGamer.com, and more useful links than you can shake a joystick at. If you'd like to get early access to this show's episodes, as well as a bevy of other shows on the Geekade Podcast Network, check out our Patreon, also linked to in the show notes. It helps keep the show running week after week, and all our patrons are loved and appreciated. This show's theme song, Squared Roots, was written by Banjo Guy Ollie. You can learn all about his wonderful music and more by following the link to his YouTube channel, also in the show notes. And finally, as always, we'd like to thank our intrepid editor, Evan, for making this show listenable for all you folks, and we'd like to thank all you folks for listening in the first place. That's it, everybody. On behalf of Dan and myself, keep playing games.